Good day, good night, good evening, or whenever you're virtually joining us today. My name is Joe Downs, a local planner from Eden Prairie, and I've been doing this about 13 years, a proud FPA member for about half that. And today we're virtually joined to talk about the important pillar of retirement planning that we know as Social Security. And we don't have a lot of time, so let's get into it. This slide highlights how important Social Security is to many Americans for their retirement income. 20% are relying on it as the sole source of their retirement income, and nearly 70% of retirees rely on it for the majority of their retirement income. I know there are concerns about the solvency of Social Security, which we'll talk about in a minute, but we as planners really like Social Security as a pillar of your retirement income for the following reasons. It will pay you until you pass away. It is backed by the government, the only entity that is licensed to print money. It has an inflation rider to keep up with inflation, and you're never taxed 100% on your benefits. It also serves the people that you love in your life after you pass and can assist your portfolio in providing income for retirement. This slide refers to the question that always comes up in every conversation about Social Security. Yes, I know, but will it be there when I need it? Question mark, right? Well, this slide does illustrate that it does have a demographics problem. Back when it was first conceived, back in the 40s and late 30s, there were 159 workers contributing for every beneficiary. As recently as 2017, that number has shrunk to 2.8 workers per beneficiary. So that's the result of the baby boomer generation retiring and the birth rate slowing after that generation. Some of you might have already heard the ominous stat on this slide saying that the program is scheduled to run out of money by 2034. I'd like to direct your attention to the bottom bullet point, which I think is important. The vast majority of these benefits come from taxes, so totally eliminating your benefits is probably not a probable outcome. There are several things that Congress can do and have done in the past to extend the program, and I'll highlight some of those in the next couple slides. Certainly, future changes will have to be made. Chances are, if you're 55 years or older, you probably won't encounter any of these changes. But there are several things that Congress can do before they start to reduce benefits that are less political precarious for them, such as they can raise the payroll tax from the current 6.2%, and they have done that in the past. They can raise the dollar amount in which you're taxed within your paycheck, currently at $137,700, or they can raise the full retirement age income, or reduce that cost of living increase, or that COLA that I referred to. And probably the last option, because it's political suicide for any elected official, is to take away benefits. Our elected politicians understand that, so I think you'd see this progression. The bottom line is the most important. Don't let your fears of reduced benefits get in the way of active conversations with planners so that you can start to build maybe different scenarios around what might happen. So let's get right into how you can start your planning around what your possible benefits might be. On the right, some of us might remember we used to get these Social Security statements on our birthday in the mail. Due to cost constraints and privacy concerns, they now cut it over to posting those online. So if you've not done it before, go to what's featured on the left here, ssa.gov, and establish your own account for your Social Security. When you review your benefit information, you will see three figures represented. The first one is the monthly figure for when you reach full retirement age, or FRA. The next one is age 70, which is beyond your full retirement age, which is the maximum benefit that you can get. Or lastly, at age 62, the earliest age you can start drawing your benefit, and that figure will reflect a reduced monthly benefit from your full retirement age. Some of you might have heard this daunting statistics in the media as of late. where Social Security is scheduled to run out of money by 2034. Although that's true, remember the final bullet in this slide. 79% of the majority comes from taxes. So going bankrupt doesn't mean your benefits will go to zero. And there are several things that Congress can do and have done in the past to replenish some of these reserves, and I'll talk about those in a moment. Several important points on this slide, the first of which is how do they calculate your Social Security benefit? Well, it's based on your best 35 years of highest earning years. So as you continue to work, your teenage years of babysitting falls off. It also shows the max for 2020 is about $3,000 a month. And then the earnings in which they tax you on, as I mentioned before, is 137.7. And below, you see the bar graph of how they've changed full retirement age. So these are a couple of things that Congress can change and usually increase your retirement age, increase the dollar amount at which they tax before they have to alter benefits. This is a very important slide in the presentation for understanding a key component about Social Security. Full retirement, in this example, full retirement age, you would be entitled to 100% of your benefit. As I mentioned before, though, in this case, full retirement age is age 66. You can start drawing benefits as early as age 62. Just be careful that they're going to reduce whatever you're entitled to at full retirement age by a certain percentage, depending upon how many years you are away from your full retirement age. And that haircut is permanent. So if you elected to pull benefits at age 62, you'd only get 75% of what you're entitled to at your full retirement age of 66. Conversely, if you have other income means that allow you to delay your benefits past your full retirement age, in this example 66, you currently get about an 8% raise annually under current legislation up until age 72. So you could maximize your benefit from 100% at full retirement age to 132%. Or conversely, if you drew benefits early, you could reduce your full retirement benefit by about 25%. And again, these are permanent cuts. So weigh this decision of when to draw benefits carefully. And why do I say weigh that decision of when to draw benefits carefully? Because if you look at the range between the earliest date that you can begin drawing at age 62 and the maximum monthly payout at age 70, that represents a 76% increase in your monthly benefits. There is absolutely no shame, however, in drawing your benefits before full retirement age. In fact, this 2015 data shows that the majority of people do start drawing before full retirement age. Reasons that we hear to do so is that you just need the income. Secondly, some people, again, have concerns about the viability of the program. And thirdly, maybe they're just unaware of the ramifications that the last slide represented of a 76%, potential 76% swing in outcomes. So I'm glad you're here today. As I mentioned earlier, this program is challenged by demographics, one of which is that we're not having as many kids as we used to, but also on the other side of the coin, we're also living longer. This slide illustrates the probability of both men, women, and couples living into advanced age. So that's why it's really important to understand your choices in when to draw Social Security, because again, when you draw whatever selection you make, it's permanent and will be with you for the remainder of your life. This slide illustrates if you have the good fortune of waiting to draw benefits beyond your full retirement age, not only will your benefit base will go up, but that inflation rider, which is called that cost of living adjustment or COLA, because it's a percentage of your monthly benefit, that will also go up. If you find yourself considering waiting to a later age for a larger benefit, just be aware of the concept of a break-even age, which says even if you get a higher dollar amount at a later age, it will take you some time to catch someone who started years earlier at a lower monthly benefit. So in this example, someone who waited to age 70, that gets about $31,000 a year, has to live to about age 80 to catch up with someone who started their benefits at their full retirement age of 66 and drew $24,000 a year. So working with a planner, we'll often ask about family medical history to see what's the probability of you getting beyond that break-even age where your money head in your strategy. Many clients ask us then, they say, what if I started my benefits early around age 62, 63, but kept working? Might that be a viable strategy? It might, but just be aware that the government is going to withhold some of your Social Security benefits because there's only a limited amount of money to go around until you reach full retirement age, and then they're going to tack it on to your benefit after full retirement age. So the government knows that you have other lines of income coming in, and depending on how far away you are from your full retirement age, they might withhold that until you reach full retirement age, and then, as I mentioned, tack it on to benefits after full retirement age. If you recall early in the presentation, one of the things that we like about Social Security is that the preferential tax treatment that it gets. This slide shows that the government uses something called provisional income to arrive at the percentage at which your Social Security benefits will be taxed, but they never consider more than half your Social Security benefits. So that's benefit number one. And they never fully tax that one half. The top range is 85, sometimes it can be 50%, sometimes it's not taxed at all. This is a quick slide for those of you that have potentially worked for a government during your working years and didn't have to pay into Social Security. Just be advised that the analysis has to be even more scrutinized because some of your benefits might be curtailed. Okay, let's start talking quickly about some of the scenarios. The number one question we probably get is, isn't it true that my spouse is entitled to some of my benefits as my spouse? And the answer is yes, if the criteria in these first three bullet points are fulfilled. The last of which is most important. Both spouses now have to be drawing benefits in order for the other spouse to start pulling spousal benefits. But it is true that if both spouses wait till full retirement age, typically the lower earning spouse is eligible for 50% of that spouse's full retirement benefit. That spouse also has the option of drawing benefits early, but just as we saw before, there will be a permanent haircut. So rather than getting 50% of your spouse's benefit, if you pull at age 62, you'll only get about 35% of your spouse's benefit. Right after the spousal benefits question, we often get this one. Is it not true that I'm entitled to some of my Social Security benefits of my ex-husband or ex-wife? And the answer is potentially yes. If the criteria listed in the four bullet points are fulfilled, the answer is yes. You might be entitled to your ex-spouse's benefits. The only difference between the spousal benefit of those still in a relationship as opposed to divorced is that they remove the limitation of both spouses have to have been drawing benefits in order to turn on the spousal benefit. So the government was aware they didn't want any shenanigans of one ex-spouse holding hostage retirement income for their former spouse. It's also true that your spouse, if he or she survives you, even if it's your ex-spouse, they are entitled to survivor benefits, assuming certain criteria listed here are fulfilled. An important note here on survivor benefits is even if your divorced spouse remarries after age 60, they can still claim your benefits should they remarry after 60 as long as you've been married 10 years. So hopefully you're starting to see that there are complexities to these various scenarios of survivorship of a divorced situation where it underscores the importance of meeting with the planner to understand all the various ramifications that you have available to you. Although time doesn't allow us today to fully go into this, let me just take you through a couple of quick scenarios that underscores how many different choices you might face if you have some scenarios going on. So here is Henry and Lisa. If they both waited to full retirement age, Henry would get $24,000 a year in the middle column, and his wife, Megan, would be entitled to half that, so she would get $12,000. To the left there, if he elected to draw benefits starting at age 62, he would get that haircut, as well as Lisa would get her haircut on her spousal benefits because they didn't wait till full retirement age. On the far side, it shows if they waited beyond full retirement age, how much they could increase their respective benefits, waiting until age 70, which is the maximum benefit, and there's no benefit to waiting after age 70. It is not uncommon in today's two-earner families that the spouse will have a work history of his or her own, as well as being entitled to the spousal benefit of their spouse. And the ramifications and various choices start to extrapolate from there. This example shows where Megan elects to choose to draw Social Security benefits from her work history early at age 62. And then when they both reach full retirement age and Henry starts to collect his benefit, she reverts to collecting her reduced spousal benefits. This slide shows the same couple, although in this case, Harry elected to wait until age 70 to increase his benefits. But Megan got to full retirement age, was entitled to her full benefit based upon her work history. Once Harry started to draw benefit at age 70, that allowed her to turn on her spousal benefit of $12,000 a year, which is more than 100% of her full retirement age. So you can start to see that the kind of decision tree starts to expand when you have different elements of your Social Security strategy. As the earlier slide showed, the ramifications of your choices from beginning to draw at age 62 to waiting until age 70 is not inconsequential as far as lifetime earnings across your entire retirement strategy. This is just a quick note. You might refer to people that are older with a strategy that was called file and suspend, where a spouse could kind of turn on their benefits just to get their spouse turned on and then suspend their benefits. That's no longer available. That's one of the things that the government did to try to shore up this program. So if you hear someone older refer to that, that's no longer applicable. Again, there is something called restricted applications, as we saw in the previous slides, where you can kind of turn on your work history and let your spousal benefit cook, or vice versa. Just wanted to include this slide as just a note of caution. You might hear people that are older in their 60s or so saying there was a strategy called file and suspend that the government did away with. It used to allow them to kind of turn on their spousal benefits without them drawing their own benefits. As we covered earlier, the government has now corrected this, saying in order to have a spousal benefit turned on, the other spouse has to be working, so both spouses have to be drawing benefits. This is one of the strategies that the government took away to improve the solvency of the program. If you were born in 1953 or sooner, there still is a strategy called restricted application that allows you to potentially be, even though the higher earner could take the lower spousal amount, so they kind of trade places, while allowing his or her own benefit to continue to grow. So as these last couple of slides indicate running through these scenarios, this question of whether to draw or when to draw Social Security is a fairly complex one, And working with the planner, we'll ask you certain things around, how long do you intend to work? Do you intend to work and draw benefits? What does your family health look like? Again, towards that break-even age concept. What are your thoughts around providing for your spouse or loved ones after you're gone? And then what other sources of retirement income are coming in addition to Social Security? For you visual learners, here's some guidelines on a left and right basis that might lead you to drawing either before full retirement age on the left, or some parameters that might suggest you would benefit from drawing at full retirement age or later on the right. So as you can see, it can get kind of complex trying to figure out the best approach, but it all starts with establishing your account at ssa.gov, see where you're at, see what your benefits might be in the future, and then potentially meeting with an advisor to kind of go through these various scenarios for you. We covered a lot of information today in a short amount of time, so here are some resources that you can find more information. In addition to these three listed here, don't forget MN Financial Planning Days, all one word, .org, which is a website around our event here today. That's MN Financial Planning Days, that's all one word, .org. Thanks for your time and attention today, everyone. I hope everyone stays safe and well. Thanks very much.